everybody? I wanted to give an update about my transmission, and this is going to be an intermediary update. Steve, who's an awesome supporter, thank you, Steve, and some people were hitting up my inbox on MB World, whatever, and asking, for a transmission update. So I figured this is a good time as any. So yeah, first things first. The adaptations take way longer than you think, and I don't know if Morendi or anyone misled me. I don't think they did. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it took about 500 to 1,000 miles. So from 500 miles to like starting, there's some rough issues. Like there's one time I was pulling onto the highway tuned, and I heard some gears kind of like, not a good sound, so I backed off. I want to protect the car. I don't want to break the car. We can all break the car if we want. But I didn't want to. So about, I want to guess 750 miles to 1,000 miles, it started getting smoother. And now I'm really enjoying how the transmission shifts and, driving it. So what I mean by that is don't push it hard for like the first 100 miles. You really probably don't even want to go above 3,000 RPM. It's not a 15-minute adaptation. This is like 500 miles. And I think it's because the solenoids need to learn how much pressure they need to hit the new clutch pressure points. I'm not 100% sure, but that would be my guess as to why it actually takes that long. All right, so drivability. Let's get into drivability now. The issues that I have with it are just basically one issue that you should be aware of, all right? And that's when you're from a standstill, you're like at a traffic light, you're taking your foot off the brake and you're hitting the gas, or not even hitting out the gas, you're just taking your foot off the brake. It can feel like it's hard to explain. It can feel like there's a lot of forward pressure, a lot of forward momentum, like maybe someone's shifting into first pretty hard or something. Like you it's not like a jolt, but you have a lot of forward impetus. Like it's not like, smooth. It's just like, So anyway, I did take notes on this, and I'm still not talking that well. But anyway, that would be the only drivability issue that I have encountered with this transmission tune, and I guess that would be something that I saw maybe Tasso point out too, is that he felt like some of the transmission tunes, like maybe even this one, I'm not sure, but he felt like they can catch a little bit quick. And like, the way he described it is, he said, like if you're on the clutch, it's like letting it off this way instead of this way. So like if your foot's down, instead of coming back up, it's like, so it would be like that. So it's kind of a minor issue, and if you let your foot off the brake kind of slowly, it kind of eliminates that issue a little bit, but it should be something you're aware of. If you're like in New York City, that might be something you want to consider. So yeah, that's I'm just going to throw that out there. What else? Oh yeah, I still have that issue when I'm in fifth gear and I'm tuned on OE Tune, where it just sort of like, I guess around, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 RPM in fifth gear, when it seems like it should be maybe shifting, it just sort of like cuts the power. And I have a feeling it's something to do with the OE Tune. I don't know that for a fact. I'll probably do another video right now about that after this one. And I'll run those issues down, but it just feels like there's no power. And I have a feeling that's more of the OE Tune. But under stock tune, no issues with that. What I found is that from a guy just like, let's say you're at a red light with like a Supra or something next to you, and you're not necessarily going to like hold your foot down on the brake and like, I don't know, rev to like 1,000 or 2,000 RPM and then let off the brake and then go. Like if you're just driving, it is much faster. So I think it's because it puts the power down more. Like it's not like much faster. It's just, it goes much faster. So for me, Matt, who does do like all the proper launching and driving, you know what I mean? Like he found about a 0.2 second drop from 0 to 60 times. And to me, he was asking, he was like, what did you get? So I hooked up my Dragon, and I said, I'm going to launch it just like I did last time, though, because, I'm kind of learning how to launch a little better and whatever. So I said, this is going to be just like, take your foot off the brake, press the, gas. And in that case, you don't have to pedal the car anymore. It's just going to put down the power, it's going to engage, it's going to go. There's not going to be some traction control bullshit that cuts all your power off, like it's a Toyota or something. You just go. And that was a really big improvement. So for me, I found that my draggy times dropped by almost a second. And this is about 0.8 seconds. So this is just like you're in your car and you smash the gas. You're not, again, you're not launching the car. You're just smashing the gas and going. And that's from when I was ECU tuned. So I'm pretty sure I could have gotten maybe better times, but to be honest, I really had to be careful from a stop to going, or else, launching, or else I was just going to spin my tires and the system would cut power. Even with the ESP off, people say turn the ESP off. It doesn't do it. Like, it's still there, believe me. I'm sorry, OE tuning, that's not a great description about how to deal with your ECU tune. Like, believe me, turning the ESP off does not turn the ESP off. Maybe dyno mode does, but turning the ESP off does not, and I would still have that issue. All right, and to me, it kind of felt like, I described it like shitting the bed, and I described it sort of like the more power I was adding, like the slower it was feeling. So there's some modifications that I was doing where it was starting to actually feel worse. Like, for example, the intercooler always on. I actually think it might actually add power. I haven't put it on a dyno or anything, but I think it might actually add power now with the TCU tune. Before, with just the ECU tune and doing that, it just like spun the tires more. You know what I mean? It was just slower. So like, I think there's a point where you present the transmission too much power, and it just doesn't. It's actually like negative. And this eliminates that a lot. And apparently, you don't need a transmission tune to do that either. From my understanding, you can actually raise the torque limits, I believe, from STAR, from the diagnostic computer. But the TCU tune engages quicker, it puts you forward faster, and I think it might disengage the ESP or eliminate it a little bit. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it loosens it a little bit. I'm not sure if it's that or it just puts the power down better, that you don't kick over to that. But I would guess it does sort of eliminate some of the issues with that you might have if you're in a tuned car or a high-powered car, where you're hitting the gas and it spins and it cuts the power. And to me, those were embarrassing. Like, I don't want to lose to like Camry or something next to me. Like, yeah, I know they're nicer, but it's still a Camry, and I'd like to win in my Mercedes. So like, this transmission tune does do that, and that actually happened after I went stage 2. Like, a Camry came up next to me, and I just couldn't put the power down, and he took off. So, and that happened against the M50i engine. It was an X50 or an X5 M50, and same issue. So moving on, it is for me just real life, actual driving, maybe not prepped race track or whatever, prepped track, prepped car, and you're actually like, boosting to the right, RPM, you're getting to like 1500, 2000 RPM, and then going. I think you'll drop about 0.2 seconds to 60, and I would guess about the same in the quarter. So, maybe like for Matt, I think he went to like 3.86, 3.8 to 60 in about 12 seconds in the quarter. So that would just be ECU stage 2 plus TCU. For me, without launching or whatever, I went from like a 5-second or so to 60 to about a 4-second or so to 60. So just from a red light hitting the gas, there's no comparison. This car with the transmission tune puts the power down better, stoplight to stoplight. It's a lot faster. All right. The ECU tune I found impacts mid-range a lot more. So the TCU tune is much more about like, stopping, going, and then when you're driving, it's pretty much the same. But the ECU tune you can feel in those sort of mid-range rev gears, like from like 3,000 to like 5,000. You can feel it a lot. Now, the only time you're going to feel that with the TCU is you might feel that the transmission holds on to gears a little longer. So you might get up to, higher RPMs, like in third gear, fourth gear. Like fourth gear feels different. Fourth gear feels better. So I'll hit like 80 or 90 miles per hour, entering a highway. I don't want to, get hit by the truck behind me, or like I'm passing a truck, you know what I mean, on a two-way thing. So in those cases, it will hang on a little longer, and it does feel a little different. But overall, when you're driving, the ECU feels better. Like the ECU feels like it has more impact. But when you're just going from a stop, just going, I would say the ECU feels less impactful than the TCU tune. I think the TCU tune actually probably maybe does a little bit more in that scenario, at least for me. But I'm not 100% sure. Kickdowns are similar, and overall, it's a very similar drive. I would guess that I'm going to ask Matt in about a couple hundred miles, maybe in time for the next video, if his time's dropped. I imagine they might, because he's only driven a couple hundred miles on his TCU tune, and he's got it Eurocharged. He really likes Eurocharged Minneapolis. He's always saying how happy he is with that. So I'll throw that out there. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed working with Morendi. We still keep in contact because I am probably going to do a custom tune on my car, and I'm going to data log with the HP tuners, and then send it over to him, and we'll work, together, I think, to create my tune. And that's one of the things I really like about Morendi, actually, is that he's very, first of all, he's a thoughtful guy, right? Second of all, he's going to work with you. Like, it's not like you're a system, you're a cog, and, it's just like an email that someone else responds to. No, he's responding to you. And I don't know if this is going to be forever, but for right now, I really like talking to Morendi. I like working with him. And he's a technical guy. He's actually tuning, and he's interested in what your goals are and what you're into. So no worries on that for me at this point. It's not like my transmission was terrible and then I couldn't talk to him anymore. I'm pretty sure if I asked him, like, hey, can I go back to stock? I think he'd say yes. I don't know why I would do that, but that's that. One thing I have heard, though, which is something that you might want to consider if you're going to go tune your TCU, is I've heard that you might want to update to the latest and greatest at Mercedes first. So you just say to, you go to Mercedes and you update your ECU and your TCU to the latest and greatest, and then you might want to flash an ECU, tune or a TCU tune, because there might be subtle changes. And so that would be one thing that I might consider. And overall, pretty happy. I think you will be too. For me, at $2,000, I'm not sure it's, a great deal or a bad deal. It's sort of like in the middle. I think at a $750 number, like Morendi, $800 number, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, dropping a second in real life driving is pretty, useful to me. And I haven't pushed it a ton, I haven't done like quarters or anything. I can't give you those types of numbers right now, but I can say that, I can give you the number of, simulated real life driving is 0.8 seconds faster with the TCU tune. And I'm really enjoying the modification so far. Now, if I strip my gears in the future or something, I will let you know. But right now, yeah, I really enjoy the mod. It's pretty. I like it a lot. In some ways, it's a lot easier than the ECU mod, because the ECU mod, right away was throwing misfires for me, and I had to change the spark plugs, and I had to go back to stock, and then I had to go back to this, the flashed mod, the ECU tune after I went back to stock for a while. So for me, the ECU tune, I probably wouldn't go with OE, to be honest, and I guess that's leading into my next, discussion. And I've heard a very similar thing from Chris Maddox at Star Motorworks. I think he runs that. He's got some beautiful cars, real enthusiast. Please don't text him at 6:40 a.m. Like, I don't know if you saw that post, but yeah, it was saying this is the downside of being an entrepreneur. And I was just thinking to myself, dude, some of my friends who run shipping companies or whatever, they pick up the phone at 3:40. They put it on Facebook. They're like, why I do this? Because I want it. This is my company. I'm going to grow it. Things like that. So, yeah, that's that. And I think I covered everything. Let me just look over my notes one more time. Yeah, I would say that the TCU is a pretty solid bet at $800. I would definitely consider going with Morendi. I think it's a pretty solid way to go. I don't think I'd spend more than $2,000 on it. At more than $2,000, I think you're getting into sort of that diminishing returns. And so, I hope this video helps, and that's that.